theatricality and deception. Powerful agents to the uninitiated, but we are initiated.
I'm super excited!
What's up, you guys? It's your late night into the AM conspiracy theorist with the best conspiracy theories on any social media platform. That's right, conspired deception. Oh yeah. Ha! Gay! You've stumbled upon the only channel that climbs to the highest parts of the untraveled earth, swim through the deepest depths of the ocean, and discover uncharted territories as we travel through space and time, just to bring you this brand new special event.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
Wait a minute, that's not right.
Welcome to Conspired Deception Official.
In the year 536 AD, the sun dimmed and the world shivered, leading to famine and fall of empires. 536 AD is the current standing agreed upon candidate for the worst year in past and modern history, according to historians across the world. Professors surrounding the science community regarding the situation comes to the conclusion proclaiming that 536 AD was in fact the worst year ever on a global scale pertaining to all of human history. The evidence regarding the economic disasters include poisonous air, crop failures, darkened skies, fallen temperatures. It snowed in China during the summer, and it all surrounds a volcanic eruption on a catastrophic global scale leading to starvation turning to violence, and violent actions pitting neighbor against neighbor. Ireland also reported a failure from the year 536 to 539 AD. It increased ocean ice covers, and the events of 536 also caused a solar minimum. And not to mention the bubonic plague following shortly after in 541 AD, causing a catastrophic death toll of 1 million lives, also including the fall of the Roman Empire surrounding the dated areas. The decade-long volcanic winter brought on by the year 536 was the most severe and protracted episode in climate cooling in most of the northern hemisphere in the last 2,000 years. Many of the civilizations and societies living in 536 simply could not survive the overall predicaments in the upcoming years that followed. It has been described by scholars as the apocalyptic year. So what exactly happened? And what could have caused these catastrophic events that unfolded for the next decade to come? Find out right here, right now, on this exciting episode of Debunking History's Mysteries. Hey kids, are you tired of the same old boring history? Yikes. Well, do I have a surprise for you? Get ready for the same old boring history, but with a unique and modern day twist. Conspired Deception presents a brand new exciting series packed full of lies, cover-ups, aliens, giants, war, technology, murder, and much more. A Conspired Deception original. A coming era of conspiracies, doing the research so you don't have to, looking through evidence to separate facts from fiction, saying what needs to be said so you don't get the backlash. Debunking history's mysteries. Finally, a show to dumb down the facts so it becomes easier to understand. Debunking history's mysteries, the only series that debunks theories, right here at Conspired Deception Official. Now picture this. You grow up on a small family farming community. Farming is the only life skill, trade, and education that you have ever cared to learn. Your father is a farmer, and his father before him was a farmer, and his father before him was the same thing, and so on and so forth. Your small little life consists of waking up, farming, tending to the crops, taking care and feeding the animals, so that they can grow up and be fat, healthy, and strong, and when the time comes, feed you. After finishing your daily chores, you go to bed, wake up, and then do it all over again. Days turn into weeks, weeks turn into months, and years go by. All your relatives have now passed away, leaving you in charge of the land. So, you create your own family, with your children doing the petty chores as you take control of the land and do more of the important things that need to be done around the farm. You have now become the so-called man of the house. Towns have begun to produce around the surrounding areas, but it would still take days, if not weeks, to reach the nearest civilization for supplies, and maybe even a conversation or two with the surrounding neighbors every once in a while. Farming is all you know, and the only wisdom you can offer the rest of your family and the future generations to come. The surrounding landscapes is as far as you ever cared to venture. It's the only part of the world that you know, and all you know is farming, family, and time. If health, sickness, or disease doesn't kill you, then old age will. But despite your peaceful surroundings, there is no reason that could explain or prepare you for the upcoming events or the apocalyptic year that was about to unfold in front of your very eyes. All of a sudden, your peaceful atmosphere is interrupted by a loud bang. You begin to experience the ground shaking, and it begins to shake so violently that it pushes you to the ground. As you pick yourself up, the shaking stops, and you evaluate yourself for injuries. The sky immediately goes dark and stays that way for 18 months, and the temperatures drop way too cold for farming. Unless you have anything of value to sell, then you and your family will starve to death in the future weeks to come. And even if you had food, other people don't. So your neighbors start venturing onto your property with a mission to fulfill, and their main desire is to eat before themselves starve. So they enter the area with the intent to do whatever it takes to survive, and that means that they will kill to eat. So you survive a few attacks here and a few attacks there from the nearby communities, but over time, it's becoming harder and harder to breathe. The air is thick. It's hard to breathe because of the poisonous air that you have been inhaling every second of every day since the eruption. Now, whether or not you have made it up to this point depends on destiny. Your luck has finally ran out. Even if you have found your own ways to survive thus far, and have lived through some of the most harsh conditions for the next few years, the worst is yet to come, and you probably will most likely be taken out with the bubonic plague. All because of that one day in 536 AD that brought a decade-long volcanic winter that will affect future generations to come. But what is a volcanic winter? What does it do? How does it work? What are the effects that happen during and after the eruption? Well, I'm glad you asked. A volcanic winter is a dramatic drop in temperatures experienced globally. The aftermath of the massive volcano eruption spits ash particles and gases such as sulfur dioxide and injects them into the air and the atmosphere during the eruption. Then it spreads globally by wind. It blots out the sun and prevents any solar energy reaching the Earth's atmosphere. Now, when I state the fact that the year 536 AD is considered to be the worst year ever, I'm sure you can think of some other dates throughout history that immediately comes to mind. Could it be 1347, when the Black Death spread through Eurasia? Is it 1816, the year without summer? Could it be around 1914, offering two global conflicts killing millions? Maybe it's 1330, when famine set in and ravished China. Or maybe it was a similar famine that devastated Europe. Could it be 1490 when smallpox and influenza ran through the indigenous population, making their way through America? Or was it about 541 when the bubonic plague swept across Europe, killing 1/3 of the world's population? Can it be from 1889 to 1945 involving the rise of Hitler? Or is it America's Great Depression that lasted from 1929 to 1941? Most everyone living in the current time period would probably come to the grim realization that from their own personal experience, they would consider that 2020 was the worst year ever, for many relatable reasons. But sadly, it's not. 2020 is like child's play compared to the year 536 AD. I'm not mentioning these things to project light of our world's very real problems, but rather than to put them into some perspective. According to scholars, historians, and scientists, 536 was the worst time in our current history, that affected humanity and Earth itself on a massive catastrophic scale. So what exactly happened in 536 AD? And how much of an impact did the effects have? You must first realize that whatever happened in 536, it was just the beginning chapter in a novel. Let me explain. Only a fraction of what we know or think we know about what happened during such murky times comes from traditional written sources, according to historian records, written by a Roman senator, and he wrote down the events as they lasted through 538. The first real evidence of 536 events comes from a study in the 1980s by two NASA geologists, and over time the research grew with technology. Now, thanks to high-resolution ice core records combined with historical texts, chronicles, and the impact of natural disasters on the European society, in 2018, medieval scholar Michael McCormick nominated 536 as the worst year to be alive because of the volcanic winter that was caused by a massive volcano eruption affecting the whole northern atmosphere, blackening the skies for over 18 months. Causing an average temperatures in Europe and China to decline and resulting in massive crop failures for well over a year. Also adding that the eruption pushed sulfate throughout the air, causing birth defects and health risks that would eventually lead to death. Climate historians believe that the eruption caused major cooling because of the massive volcano. This would account for the dark skies and the recently dropping in temperatures. Temperatures dropped massively, falling 2.5 Celsius during the summer. That is 4.5 Fahrenheit. It even snowed in China during the summer period. It affected the whole northern atmosphere, including the Middle East and parts of Asia, and it threw them into complete darkness for 18 straight months. The sun gave forth its light without brightness because of the clouds and sulfur moving slowly through the sky, much like the light of the moon. It is presented as to be the coldest decade in the past 2,300 years. Because of the failed crops, people in Ireland, Scandinavia, and China starved to death. And the Irish Chronicle records state that there was a failure to breed from the year 536 all the way to 539 AD. So years later, the aftermath of the changing times still affected the next generation. Shockingly enough, the trouble isn't over yet. The volcanic winter didn't just have one massive volcano eruption causing catastrophic circumstances, but 3 mega weather-changing volcanoes erupted around the same time period. Between 540 AD and 541 AD, 2 more massive volcanoes erupted. The volcanic winter was caused by not 1, not 2, but 3 similar eruptions of uncertain origins in several possible continents, causing more, if not as much damage effects than the last. That's 2 times more the danger, and the 2 times more the world-changing conditions, causing 3 times as much repercussion and economic disaster. As the sky stayed dark for a better part of the century, the cold caused the increase in ocean ice covers, and the poisonous dark clouds blackened out the sky, affecting the solar minimum, which is the regular period featuring the latest solar activity in the sun's 11-year solar cycle. Oh my gosh, can we catch a break? Can we get a moment to breathe? This is a lot to take in.
That's what he said, right, guys, because of gay?
Sadly, we are not out of troubled waters yet. In fact, depending on your opinion of the situation, things get a lot worse. Right around the corner, in 541, the bubonic plague started in Egypt and struck a Roman port. And what was a Roman port doing in Egypt, you might ask? That's a good question. Kudos for participating. The Romans were in the middle of a war, the Gothic War. And as it's been described, it started in 535 AD and lasted until 554. That's 19 years of combat and death. Not to mention, it was going on in the middle of a death plague. And in conclusion, historians believe that the 536 world-changing events could have played a small role involving the fall of Rome. And now we've reached the end of the story. and it was filled with all kinds of twists and turns, with not much good opportunities to mention. This was not a story that comes straight out of a sci-fi book, so with all the information and evidence that had been brought forth, was 536 AD in fact the worst year in human history? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and follow for more interesting topics, and don't forget to hit that little ringy dingy thing for more awesome informational content. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your support, and I hope to see you again real soon on the next fascinating episode of Debunking History's Mysteries.